everyone, it's me, Estella, and I'm finally back with another AP video. So the past week has just been kind of hectic. Everyone's been getting sick. And if you guys follow my Instagram, I kind of explain the whole situation there if you're curious to know about more. So before we get into this video, because it was super requested to do a video comparing AP prep books, a lot of you guys asked for a Barrons versus Princeton review video, so this is kind of what that's going to be like. But yeah, so before I get started with this wonderfully interesting video, I have a really cool announcement for you guys. So you guys are going to get a lot of new announcements in the next couple of months just because a lot of things have been going on in my life lately, but the cool announcement is that I came up with an idea. Now it's not going to really be that cool or really an announcement if no one decides to do it, but pretty much my idea was, since you guys seem to really like giving each other tips in the comment sections under my AP videos, which I love. This probably is one of my favorite aspects of my YouTube channel, the fact that you guys help each other out in the comment sections. Like, I literally love reading your advice to each other. So I figured that since I haven't taken yet, obviously, all of the AP classes that are possibly available, I am going to be making videos on some of them, the ones that I take next year, obviously, after my senior year of high school. But that's kind of in a year from now. So I figured if you guys have any tips for any of the classes that I have never taken or done, I guess, or if you just have tips on some of the classes that I have already made videos on, like AP Bio, AP US History, etc., but you just have your own tips that you think are helpful. So I wanted to start a new series. I don't really know what it's going to be called yet. If you guys have any suggestions, by the way, just leave them below and I'll definitely consider them. But an AP series where it's tips by you guys on AP classes and exams. It can be AP classes, like how to get A's in AP classes, or it can be AP exams. It doesn't really matter. But just like tips, like what prep books use, what outlines, resources, whatever. So what you guys can do if you want to be featured in my new series, what you need to do is you need to email me at my email, which you can find in my description or about page, I guess, on my YouTube channel. It's just studytosuccess@gmail.com, but it has an extra S at the end. So just email me your tips or tip, whichever you prefer, and just send that to me. And if you guys want to, you can also send me like a video of your prep books or of your notes if you want to have like your prep books or notes featured in the video. And then I'll just do a voiceover reading out your tips and showing the footage of either the footage that I've filmed just to have some footage or the footage that you guys have filmed, if that makes sense. So that's kind of the announcement. I know it was pretty long, but that's just what I wanted to let you guys know. So if you guys want to have your tips officially on a video, just send them to me and I will most likely at some point put you into the video, depending on how many requests I get. That's pretty much all I have to say, so let's get into the video. Okay, so the first thing that this video is going to cover is Barrons versus Princeton review. I don't know if you guys can see that. So my general rule for the Barrons or the Princeton, which one to buy for the AP class that you're taking, is usually the Princeton review is better for humanities classes, so English, Spanish, or like languages in general, and history or humanities like psychology or human geography, if that makes sense. So in general, Princeton review is better for the humanities / English and language classes. And then Barrons typically is better for the science and math classes, just in my experience. I will now talk about the pros and cons of the Barrons and the Princeton reviews just in general, depending on the class. So in general, the Barrons is harder for the math and science AP exams than the actual AP exams, and it usually has a lot more details than the Princeton Review books. The Princeton Review books pretty much are always a lot less detail packed and usually have more practice tests, typically, not always. But yeah, and the Barrons is a lot more information packed, kind of like smaller font, more writing, more information, and yeah. They both typically have drills at the end of the chapters. If you don't really have that much time, then usually the Princeton Review gives you a good kind of overview of everything. So that's kind of like a pro-con thing. And then the con obviously is that the Princeton Review usually has less information than the Barron's books. And the Princeton Review typically is just a lot more general. So yeah, they're kind of, and they sometimes don't cover all of the topics on the AP exam. So there's kind of like the pro-con thing going on there. Moving on from the general stuff though, one exception for the science, or two exceptions I guess, for the science classes are physics and chemistry. Chemistry, just from what I've heard of from my friends, they typically prefer the Princeton Review book for chemistry, and they typically prefer the Princeton Review book for physics. And I also didn't get, I don't even know if Barron's has a physics book. I think they probably do, but I just instantly bought the Princeton Review book for physics. They are pretty general, and that's why, apart from the prep books for the physics and chemistry classes, you definitely need to do a lot of practice tests, official College Board ones, and also I recommend getting at least one more prep book from a different brand to have more practice questions, if that makes sense, because the Princeton Review can be a little bit too general at some points and not really cover everything. The Barron's biology book is definitely a lot better than the Princeton Review one. It covers a lot more information and is also a lot more detailed and was overall a lot more helpful for the biology book, biology AP exam. So I definitely recommend getting the Barron's one over the Princeton Review one. So that's just like kind of a general thing. For the maths, the Barron's definitely I would recommend for both calculus and statistics. Honestly, the statistics Barron's book is probably like the best prep book I've ever bought. Just get the Barron's book, you don't need to buy anything else. But moving on. So that was, yeah, that's kind of like an overview of the math and science ones. And then for the humanities, I always just generally recommend the Princeton Review. So I recommend it for all of the humanities classes that I've ever taken. AP World History, AP US History, AP US Government, AP Psych, I used it for that one. AP Human Geography, I used it for that one. Yeah. And then for the, however, for the macro, AP Macro and Micro, I primarily, like, I honestly used both the Princeton and Barron's just because they kind of like, some parts of the Barron's didn't really in detail describe some parts that the Princeton Review did describe. I'd say for the macro and micro books, the Princeton Review and the Barron's are pretty much almost the same. Equally recommend the Barron's and Princeton just for macro and micro. So that's just kind of like a general overview of the prep books. So now I'll talk about the specifics of other prep books that aren't Princeton or Barron Review, Princeton Review or Barron's books. I actually, it didn't focus on me. Okay, I actually only used this book for the SAT US History, which I got a 770 on, so it really helped me. I used it after I already had studied for the AP exam. I still got a 5 on the AP exam using just the Princeton Review, but I honestly recommend the Noble prep book. You guys, if you watched my AP US History video, then you would know I 100% recommend getting this book even before the school year starts because it will help you so much on your tests. It's not even funny. This is probably one of the best books, prep books in the world. And then for APES, to study for the test, I used primarily the Princeton Review one, which is kind of an exception to, I guess, the general trend. For APES, I didn't use Barron's, I used Princeton Review, and I used this little green book. I also don't remember what it's called. I'll put it somewhere in the screen in text. I primarily used the little green book, and then after that I read the Princeton Review. but that was pretty much it. Or actually, yeah, so the only Barron's science one I actually so far recommend is the biology one, but yeah. And for the the 5 steps to 5, the only classes I recommend that one for are AP Psych, and that's it. I know there are a lot of other prep books out there, but those are the only ones that I've ever used. So that's just kind of a general overview of everything. So I hope this video was helpful for you guys and that you enjoyed it. And yeah, so let me know in the comments below if you have any other specific video requests, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and hopefully I will be getting emails from you guys about tips for AP classes. But yeah, so thank you guys for watching this video, and I will see you guys next time. Bye guys!